Is he dating Tuli Mpongolo? The streets are talking.
To the streets, whose streets?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special edition of Podcast and Chill. I don't know if you can tell that I'm so nervous, man. This is probably the most high-profile interview I've ever done, Chief. Duduzane Zuma, how are you, brother?
I'm doing well, MacG. I'm doing well. How are you doing, sir?
Fuck, you know my fucking name. This is crazy.
You're a legend, man. You know, we followed your development over the years.
Yeah.
We wondered where you disappeared to. I like the reinvention, man. I like the reinvention. Congratulations on what it is that you're doing. And I'm more than happy to be on your platform. I think this is a great opportunity for myself. So thank you very much to you, sir.
Thanks, man. Listen, before we get to know you a little bit better, I want to know, dog, how does it feel to be the most wanted man in the country? Like, the ladies love you. I've never met a lady who does not like you, bro.
Well, I think it's twofold. Over the past few years, I was the most wanted man by the Hawks and the NBA. So I'll take this one. I'll take this one. I'll take a look at this. I'm happy with this turnout in events. But you know, it's life. We live life. It is what it is.
And has it always been like that? Like growing up, like were you a ladies' man? Did ladies want you all the time?
Let's just say I've always minded my own business, but. You know, yeah.
Well, what does that mean? What does that mean? Like,
we've enjoyed our lives. That's what it is, man. You know, it's good to be liked and to be loved.
Yeah.
You know, so I'll take it. I'll take it.
So, how much attention were you getting when you were young from ladies? Like, was it a lot or?
Oh, you're talking about now? It's nothing new, dog. It ain't nothing new. That's what you're asking me. No, it's nothing new. Let's get that straight.
Yeah.
You know, it's just been it's a bit more highlighted and broadcasted now. But I've been alright. I've done okay in my life.
Do you still remember like your first girlfriend or the first girl who broke your virginity?
We all do, don't we? Of course. What are you talking about?
Yeah, who is she? Is she still around?
I'm not sure. I haven't kept in touch. I haven't spoken to any of them in a very long time. Yeah. So, but I'm sure she's still around. If she wasn't out of known, you know, but wherever she is, I'm sure she's cool.
Because I know you went to Pretoria Boys High, right?
You're following you guys and your Wikipedia and stuff, just putting stuff out there. No, not Pretoria Boys High. No.
Where did you go, bro? Where did you go? That's crazy.
Yeah, I was at Sacred Heart College. So anyway, I was born in Maputo, right? So I've been around, let me put it that way, right? In Mozambique. So various schools from the international school in Maputo all the way to Mbangeni High School in Mbangeni, KZN. So yeah, that's basically it, not Pretoria Boys High.
So that means during your childhood, you were in and out of Mozambique as a type vibe?
I think, to put it simply, it was during the era when, you know, some of our elders were fighting whatever struggle they were fighting at the time. They had their own responsibilities, their own roles to play. And I had the fortune of being born outside of the country. I was born in Maputo to my South African parents. And then from there, we moved around. So it wasn't in and out. It was for the most part of my childhood and my early teens until I ended up in Johannesburg. So that's been it.
Yeah, and what primary school did you go to?
I was in international school it was called International, so it still exists in Maputo. But then in Zimbabwe, Groombridge Primary, and then in South Africa, Sacred Heart College.
Yeah. So when you were growing up, like, at what point did you realize, like, shit, man, my dad is famous?
You know, it's actually quite funny because back in the day, we're talking about the mid-'80s. So and this is my experience of it, living outside of the country. There was a lot of, we lived in a time where everything was highly political, based on struggles and liberation of South Africa, the apartheid era time and that sort of stuff. So at that point, the only material we got to understand what was going on was twofold. One, political school of sorts. There's something called the Young Pioneers, which was like for all intents and purposes, Boy Scouts for little ANC children, and we proper dressed up in the ANC scarves and regalia. So that's where we started understanding who the role players are. And a lot of the guys we still know today who are in senior positions grew us up. And secondly, they had these footage, videotape footage that they used to travel up and down it. So wherever in the world you were, they'd bring these tapes, and on these tapes you'd see all our struggle icons, whether they were in prison at the time or not, just footage and speeches, protests from 76, and just the role play. So when I first realized that my father was somewhere in the mix is when I saw him in some of the footage, like, okay, I know that guy. Yeah. So that's what I realized. And I'd say that was probably mid-80s. Yeah. That's when I first realized.
And was he an absent father, or like was he always around during your childhood?
I think growing up, you've as a kid, you never realize these things, absenteeism or only late in life when you start reconciling. So he was never there, but he was always there. I don't know if that makes sense. So he'd have to disappear. He did whatever he needed to do, but he never disappeared long enough for us to miss him or wonder where he was. Yeah. So he was there. He's been a great father throughout. Bearing in mind what him and others were up to at the time, I think he was great.
And what about your mom? Was she around like all the time?
Yeah, she was around all the time. Yeah. Cook, clean, whipped our asses, the whole thing.
She whipped your ass, my dog.
Oh, no, come on. Didn't you get your ass whipped?
But my surname's not Zuma, though.
I'm just saying that's what it is. But she was always there. She grew us up, man, and she taught us some very strong life lessons that are still relevant today. So
would you say that you had a normal childhood like, I would have had, or is it different based on who you are?
That was normal as can be. Very, very normal childhood.
Yeah.
Very, very.
So you wouldn't get like Mandela just walking in the kitchen one day when you're trying to make some sandwich or something?
Pardon me, I missed that?
No, I'm saying you wouldn't get like Mandela walking while you're trying to make a sandwich one day.
MacG, the man was on Robben Island, so not him, but there was,
yeah. But I'm sure there were famous people that came to your house, right?
There's plenty. I mean, there's a whole list of them that a lot of them are still around that change our diapers, even that babysat us.
Wow.
Some of them are ministers, some of them are former presidents, some of them are constitutional court judges. These are people that when you look back at it and you're like, okay, I remember this gentleman. He used to look after us. He used to babysit us, and we grew up with other kids as well. So it was one big happy family. They sheltered us well from the reality of what was going on.
Who are you talking about? Who'd be the most famous person that like changed your diaper?
There are a few, but I think that the ones that I'll point out now, and this is the period in Mozambique, because I mean that was when I was wearing diapers, of course. Yeah. Up until that, would have been, from my recollection, would have been Dr. Matthews Posa. He's still alive. He's a cool dude. Yeah. And and the last time I actually saw this, the Constitutional Court judge. His name is Judge L.B. Sachs. I'm not sure if you've heard of him, but he's an old man now, and he actually lived down the road from us in the apartment we used to stay in Maputo. And the story behind him, the last time I actually saw him, it was proper. He used to stay at his place. He used to, make us peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And the last time I actually saw him was probably in, the date I might have mixed up, probably around 86, maybe 87. He's, if you look him up, his arm got blown off in a car bomb blast. And I remember that day, we heard the blast. We'd gone downstairs to see what's happening. We didn't know who it was. Only years later, we understood that it was Uncle Albie. It planted a car bomb in his car, and when he tried to open the door handle, it blew his arm off. So that's probably some of the high profile people that I can claim.
Yeah. And how close were you with your siblings growing up? Like, how was like a Christmas in your household? It must have been crazy, right?
Yeah, it's the dynamics have changed over the years because it started off, regular, normal, siblings. It was my older brother at that time. So, a few of us. And then over the years, almost every year there's someone new. So if you know what I'm saying. So,
BOM, bring your own mother.
So over time, it got a whole lot more lively. But, you learn to understand and you learn to work through it. And it's become one big family festival.
Would you say you're dad's favorite, though?
Pardon me?
Would you say you're dad's favorite?
I don't think so. I had my little brother passed away, and I think he was everyone's favorite. He was my favorite as well. So I believe he's out of everybody. He was, and including my father, he was definitely the favorite.
And was there pressure, like growing up, to live up to your dad's standards? To get into politics and even surpass him in some of the stuff that he's done? Is there always pressure like that?
There's never been any pressure. There still is no pressure. I think he did what he needed to do. That's been his life. He took the political route when he was 16, 17 years old, and that's all he knows. Fortunately for some of us, we've had options in our lives, and I've taken the commercial route, I've taken the business route, and that's what I became, and that's who I am today. So the pressure of politics, no sir.
And why do you take the business route? Because if I was you, dude, I would never want to work a day in my life. I mean, what the fuck for? I'm sorted.
No. Sorted by what? What do you mean? Sorted by...
I'm sorted for life. Grand.
But the question is, who's sorting you out? And I don't want to be a dependent or to be dependent on someone else's successes or someone else's profile. I'm trying to build my own thing, So that was the drive to say, look, whenever the time comes, I want to be able to say, look, this is what I built. And it's hard work. You've worked your ass off. I mean, we've seen your development and what it is that you're doing now. To start off a podcast and to successful one at that. It's not an easy thing to do, but unless you are putting in those hours, it's not going to. So the grind is predetermined by the hunger. I just wanted to be. And
why business? Like, couldn't you have done like maybe music or sports or something like that? Why do you choose business?
I think the way I looked at it is, at the time, we all make decisions on what's best for us at that period of time. And at that time, I was like, yo, man, I need to start paying bills. I need to start bringing my life out. And respect to anyone that takes, the sports route, the music route. Everyone's got different talents. Everyone brings different abilities to the table. And in my mind, for what I was trying to do and where I saw myself, I believe that the commercial route was definitely the way to go. And fortunately, I haven't regretted that to this point.
And who inspires you when you start venturing into business? Who are you looking up to?
Oh, there's a whole host of people. There's people that we read about in magazines and newspapers, and we watch the news. So there are people that have done well locally in South Africa and on the African continent. There's usual suspects, and I'm not going to name them, but there's other people that you look at, and even till today that still inspire me. There's the one gentleman, for example, that I met at the State of the Nation address. His name is Tando, 21-year-old businessman from the Eastern Cape. And he's doing some amazing things at a young age. And I'm like, and I try to put myself in his shoes. When I was 21, he started doing business when he was 16. And then I'm like, what goes through your mind? It's at 16 years old to start, getting economically active. And it inspired me. This is someone that I've managed to get closer to and to understand his mind frame, what makes him tick. Because if he's doing that in 2020 and he's 21 years old, I mean, the trajectory from the next 15, 20 years is going to be amazing. And the way I look at it is like, I'm trying to jump on to what he's doing. I'm trying to understand how he's doing it, because when we look back, he's going to be a pioneer in what he's doing for his generation.
Yeah.
Now, to be foolish and arrived, I'm the guy. I don't need to tie up with anybody. No, I need to learn from this guy, 21 years old, who's pushing the boundaries. So there've been a lot of influences. Just across the board, not just business. There's sports icons, entertainers that have done some amazing things over time.
And is this something that you studied?
There's you too. You know what I'm saying? We look at you and
Well, I can't believe this. I can't believe it.
No. I mean, look at it. When you first popped up, the first thing is MacGyver, who names himself MacGyver. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, okay, you got our attention, and from then, I mean, you've developed, you've progressed, you've diversified, but your skill set and what you do is based on the entertainment space, and you've pushed the boundary once again, and that's something we can all learn from.
Appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. And the reason why I want to find out about your childhood, right? Because, when we look at the paper or the media or whatever, we're thinking, all right, cool. Being a child of Zuma, you're privileged, it must be great. You can have whatever you want. Everything is easy. But then there's also, what they say, there's a gift and a curse. There's a good side and a dark side of... What's the dark side of that? Like, what comes with that people don't actually get to see? And the challenges and the pressures that you... as a child of someone who's so profound and prominent, comes with?
I think there's definitely a dark side. Let's be clear about that. It's a very traumatic dark side, because when you grow up and the journey that my father's had politically or in the political sphere has been very different to a whole host of other politicians in South Africa, at least. And the reason I say that is he's been persecuted for a very, very long time. If you look at his journey, and let's just talk about, we won't even talk about the apartheid days, because, that goes without saying. From 94 up until today, we're in 2020. And from 1996, at least, there's not 1 week, I can guarantee there's not 1 week that has gone by where his trials and tribulations have not been written about in a negative light. So now, when you sit as a child or a relative or a friend of his, and you see this bashing week in, week out, and there's times where it's literally every day, back to back, it has a certain effect on you. The world is a very big place. There's times where, and dinner table conversations, you're minding your own business, you're trying to have a nice meal, and then people bring up politics. People may be aware, may not be aware that you're related. And, the conversation pops up, and everyone's got an opinion. They've got the right to have their opinion. But now how that affects someone like myself as a relative, no one likes to hear people talking rubbish about someone that you love.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it creates a whole host of emotions and how I've had to approach the world. The question people have asked me, but all of a sudden you are now in the public light, and I'm like, no, it's not that. I've always minded my own business. It's just, for some reason the spotlight is being shone upon me, and it's cool. I'll take it. But it comes with the pressures. It comes with the expectations of being in that space. And without belaboring the point, there's the one thing that I want to say. And what was my main driving factor? And this was when you'd ask earlier on why business, like I could have chilled, and then just carried on with life, is for the longest period. And I'm talking about from back when I was younger, the main thing that one hears is, especially when it comes to politicians, is, these guys are just chowing taxpayers' money, man. Like, enjoying on taste. So in my mind, I'm like, no, that's not true. Are there perks? No doubt. I'm not going to sit here and say no. It was just downside. There was some upside. But when it comes to the point where I made my decision, I said, no one is going to tell me that I've benefited and I'm living my life off taxpayers' money. That's why I decided to go business, and I decided to go private business. So people can't point these fingers. So that has created a whole host of issues. Everything that I've had to do has been microscoped, has been spotlighted, has been highlighted. People are like, you get things easy. It's like, no, I jump through 10 times more hoops than anybody else. That's a fact. And it's all good. That's life. We're here to live it.
But doesn't that suck? Because you didn't choose that, bro. You didn't choose that life,
No, but like I said, I'm a person that believes in taking the good with the bad. There's been good times, no doubt. There's been some great successes, of course. There's been some dark side and some downtime. The only difference between now and then is this is my journey. I'm charting my own journey. Based on my parent or my father, this is me. So if they have anything to say about me or what it is that I'm trying to do, I'm grown up. I'm here. I can have these discussions. We can lock horns. It's not. I'm not a 12-year-old or 10-year-old kid anymore. I'm well on my way to 40.
Damn, dog.
38, and we're good to go in whichever way that whatever makes sense to you. When I say we're good to go, we're good to go.
And how do you distinguish like friendships and relationships? Because I'm thinking, a lot of people that you meet just want something out of you because of what you can do for them, or the illusion that you can do something for them.
No, I think most times it is the way I've lived my life is if I can assist, I will. And if I can't, I'll be like, yeah, sorry, fam, not going to happen. Impossible. So whether it's someone that is there to take advantage, or we see these things. You're sitting there, we know how to read the situation in the room. We know how to read people's approaches, advances, body language. And it's all up to you whether you want to assist or not. And where I'm at is if I can help someone, whether I know them or not, it would be a pleasure. And if I can't and I'm not able to, then it won't happen. And that's not because I'm not trying to.
So do you have friends?
Yeah, I've got some guys that are very good friends.
For real?
What are you talking about? Come on. What do you mean for real?
No, I'm just saying, how do you know like someone is a true friend? You know what I mean? The fortunate situation from my side is I've had some testing times in life. And the testing times have been secondhand from my side. So looking at my father's experience. So there's times where he's gone through stuff and I've caught strays, you know what I'm saying, for what he was going through. Yeah.
I've seen people disagree. Some of the cases he's been involved in. There was a time where he was fired as a deputy president at the time. People have disappeared. That was off his issues at the time. I've gone through my own issues where I've faced the same issues where, I've been, they've looked at me up and down with a microscope. They've x-rayed, they've tried to find whatever they can. And I've seen people like, hot potato, we need to distance ourselves. So the way I've seen it is through those testing times from my side. There's people that have disappeared. The ones that have stayed, and they've taken some serious heat for me.
Damn, those are the real ones, isn't it?
That's what it is. So for me, it's a very, very simple thing. When the times were bad, there's a lot of people that disappeared, but there's ones that stuck around there, and I know who they are.
And do you do the same with women? Do you deal with women the same way?
I'm a married man. What are you talking about?
Yeah, before you were married, I mean, you must have gotten a lot of ladies that wanted you as well.
Look, the male-female interaction, I mean, it varies. It depends on people. For me, I always try to surround myself with good people, with positive people. I mean, I'm not trying to get involved in the funny business and how things turn out. So one needs to be careful. You need to as best as you can, vet coming into your life, whether it's female companions, whether it's friends, whether it's business partners. There needs to be some vetting that's done. Reference like, MacG, do you know this person? I'll be like, cool person, but be careful. This is a situation like, if we don't know the person, it's our duty to try and understand it. So we need to put our guard up. You can't just walk into everything expecting for everyone to love you or think they're there and have your best interest at heart. It's not the way the world works.
Do you still remember how you met your wife?
Yes, I do.
Yeah? What is going on?
No, it was a random, chilled, late afternoon, evening on a weekend, and just cruising around, and happened to meet her and I didn't know, of course, at that time. I met at a mutual friend's cousin's place, and that's how I met her. That's how it started.
And at that time, obviously, you weren't dating, right?
No. I just met her at the time.
Is there a specific reason why you weren't dating at the time before you met her? Like, had you been hurt?
No. What? This is no. You know, let me put it. The heartbreak happens for everybody. Let's just be clear, MacG.
Yeah.
Heartbreak happens.
Someone has broken your heart, bro.
Of course. What are you talking about?
Who the fuck would want to do that?
Right. If you haven't had your heart broken before, you've got no business trying to live through life. That has to happen. Yeah. There's a certain feeling and emotion that comes out of it. There's a certain understanding on life from that. When I'm talking about proper heartbreak, where you're like, you know what, not nice, but we'll get through it. It has to happen, and then that determines your engagement in life with people, especially when it comes to relationships. Most definitely, I've had my heart broken, and I've learned from it 100%.
So why decide to get married at such a young age? Because if I'm you, dude, I'm trying to get as much pussy as I can.
No, look, it's when I got married, I was 33. I don't think it's young. I think that I left it late, actually, if you ask me. But I think it was a good period. From my side, everyone needs to settle down in their lives. Whether it's, I'm not saying you necessarily need to get married, but in my view, I wanted to start a family. I wanted to have kids. I wanted to have a decent or very good homely situation, and that was my I want to bring up my kids. I want to have companionship. I want to have a mother that's responsible and that can aid in a bit in bringing a family up. Yeah. So I left it a bit late because I don't want to be that old guy. I don't want to be that old guy who's trying to live life in his 60s like he's 30 now. By
the way, have you been to the hockey club, bro? Do you have the directions there?
The hockey club?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what I know.
Okay, good. Club. Okay, are you one of the good ones? All right. I see you. Now, everybody,
no.
It's no secret, like, your dad's a polygamist. What about you? Do you ever plan on having like a Istanbul?
No, from my side, look, I'm a traditionalist at heart. Where life goes, life goes. I'm at this point, I'm not sure. I'm not out there trying to, flavor it. At the same time, it's life. We live life and we see how it progresses.
So it could be something that you could do in the near future.
We'll see. We live life. Nothing. I don't have a crystal ball here. I don't know, but we'll see.
Okay. I can see a lot of ladies are happy regarding that. All right, cool. So I got some questions here from my chillers, ne? PH, not the DJ, said, where did he get the funds to relocate to the UAE if his accounts were frozen?
So, if you may repeat that question, I missed it. Who asked it?
It's PH, one of my chillers. He says, where did he get the funds to relocate to the UAE if his accounts were frozen?
All right. So, for PH, he needs to understand that we're business people. All right. The whole point of being a businessman is to turn around profits. So, we're not sitting on our hands hoping and praying for things to happen. We need to live life and we need to move on to the next thing. So for me, moving out is something that, starting up a business is something that I can do anywhere in the world, not just in South Africa. When you apply your trade, if you do what you do in South Africa like yourself and put you anywhere on God's green earth, you'll be able to do it. And that's exactly what I did.
So you're there full time now?
Yeah, I've been here for the most part full time, yes.
Oh, nice.
You need to remember, that's at the time when I moved, and I need to emphasize this. It wasn't a decision. I'm like, I'm packing up and I'm leaving. I'm upset with the world. No, that wasn't what it was. I love South Africa. I believe in South Africa, and that's why I'm coming back to South Africa, because I believe that we have a lot of work to do, and I believe that there's a lot of contributions that I can still make. I could have sat here and just been like, you know what, that's in my past. Now, I'm going to be part of the solution. I'm going to be part of what South Africa will be in the next 10 to 15 years. There's no doubt about that. So me being in the UAE wasn't by choice. It was by circumstance, and the circumstances at that time were I can't live in South Africa. I can't, there's bills I can't pay, debit orders, debits that don't go off on my account. I didn't have any existence in the financial setup in South Africa. So how am I supposed to live? I'm going to just sit there and do what? So I needed to come up with a plan B, and I came up with a plan B. And it's turned out to be a great plan B, if you ask me.
Boki asked, who's your favorite Gupta?
So, Boki.
Yeah, Boki.
Boki, I don't know. This Gupta's question just keeps popping up all the time. They're all my favorites. There's a whole host of them. There's the brothers that I've spoken about. There's their children. Wonderful people. The favorite, I'd say I spent a time with a gentleman named Tony. That was most. Yeah.
Do you still remember how you met them?
Yeah. Of course I do. Of course I do.
What was happening? It was a normal day, cruising around.
Just another day in the hood.
Another day in the hood. All right.
Progress from there, because the thing is, MacG, people try and trivialize it. We meet people all the time. There's some people that we've enjoyed meeting. There's others that we don't remember meeting. I enjoyed meeting the first time. I enjoyed their outlook on how things are done, and that's what attracted me to them. So it was another day in the hood, man.
Why do you think the whole country is so fascinated with your relationship with them? Like, that's all everybody wants to know.
Yeah, I think it is a infatuation more than a fascination. I think, and what I've realized is there needs to be fingers pointed in a lot of situations. So there's a lot of things that might go right, there's a lot of things that might go wrong, and there need to be scapegoats. There needs to be fingers pointed at people that may have done the wrong thing or alleged to have done the wrong thing. And the reason why I think people have this whole level of attention on it is we've been accused of a host of things, including myself. And I'm talking to you today, talking about all sorts of weird and wonderful things, purely because what has been said has not translated to the situation at hand. So there are a lot of people, but this guy, even the line of questioning that you're throwing at me, he's disappeared, this and that. No, we are going nowhere. I've had to just sort a few things out, reinvent myself, recalculate a few things, and carry on with life into the next chapter. So the fascination will definitely disappear. Every period in history has got a fascination with people. Unfortunately for us, we were supposed to be the scapegoats, and do I look like a scapegoat to you, man?
Nah, not at all, my G.
So, okay.
All right, I got another question here from Pumla Ndlovu. She says, is he dating Tuli Mpongolo? The streets are talking.
To the streets, whose streets?
I don't know, clearly wherever Pumla's at.
So look, from my side, there's one thing that I've never done. I do not comment on streets talking. I do not comment on allegations and gossip mongering. It's not what I do. Facts, figures, talk to me. We'll have a conversation. For me to have to worry about what people are saying, because now, for example, if I answer that question, there'll be a whole host of other allegations. Now I've opened up the door to say, okay, if I've answered on this topic, then I should be open and honest enough to answer on various other topics. And I don't want to put myself in that position because I don't owe anyone an explanation when it comes to my personal ongoing that are my business.
Yeah, but it's not that deep, bro. If you're smashing, you're smashing. I mean, you're a guy.
What do you think?
I think you are.
So let's do this. Have you spoken to Tuli? Has anyone gotten her side of the story?
No. I've tried to interview her last year sometime, but we couldn't make it happen. But no.
Talking about now, I'm not sure. I'm asking. Maybe has she commented or anything? Has she been given?
Nah, not that I know. Not that I know of.
All right. No, look. I wish people had given her the opportunity. I don't know what the story is, but I can comment on what I know. Yeah. And just this once, you dog, because it's you, and I know you, dog. Yeah. Let me comment on it. Just this once.
Okay.
I'm not smashing. Let's just start. Right. So it popped up, and I don't know where it popped up from. And the unfortunate thing is that there've been a lot of media reports of this nature and of other nature, corruption, fraud that have popped up that are untrue, and this is one of them. I'm not the one to acknowledge it or to accept it or deny it. But in this case, the reason why I'm going to say this is we need to just relook at the way things are done, especially when it comes to media reporting and stuff, because the media destroys a lot of people's lives.
True.
The people that look at this headline, they'll read it, and automatically it's true. There, you thought, well, you think that I've been busy, and that's. Let me just say this. She's a beautiful young lady. I've only heard of her now. I don't know who she was. I mean, I mind my own business. It's not something I get involved in. Beautiful young lady. She's doing a thing, and all the best for whatever it is that she's doing. And I only wish her the best. But I do not know her. Let's just stop there. Point number one. I don't know her. Point number two, I've never met her. Right. And the third and obvious point is I'll categorically deny it. Not that I have to, but why must I explain myself to people whatever the case is? But in this case, I started getting people send me stuff. Hey, what's, and I'm like, yeah. Do I look like a blessed? You know what I'm saying? I'm not a blessed. Maybe in 40 years time, maybe right now.
Yeah.
Come on, people. I'm not. There's a sponsored trips that apparently I've been a part of sponsoring here in Dubai. People travel to Dubai all the time. Not just a lot of people travel here and they do what they need to do. They have their fun. And that's attributed to me. That's unfair, but it is what it is.
Well, what do you think about the whole blesser slay queen life?
But I think it's everyone. I'm not here to judge. Everyone does what they need to do, man. If people feel that's their way to picking up that bag, then or receiving the bag, that's what they need to do, man. I'm not here to judge. Everyone's got their own set of circumstances that they live by and they need to come out of. They do what they need to do. That's I'm not going to judge no blesser, and I'm not going to judge no slay queen.
Fantastic. Okay, cool.
Parties.
I got another question here from Karaba. Karaba says, ask the Bru about his honest feeling about Julius Malema.
All right. Karabo, I think this is also another question that I get asked all the time, but thank you for that question, sir. My honest feeling is, I think he's a great guy. I don't know. I've only ever met him once, as I recollect. It was 2010, maybe 2011, somewhere back then. So I can't give an honest opinion to say, no, I've sat with him, we've discussed this. This is the feeling I get. So from an interpersonal perspective, I don't have that commentary, But what I can say is, and then I've said this before, is he's done his thing. Whatever, whether people like it or not, he's there. He's put himself in a position where he's doing what he needs to do, how he believes it needs to be done, whether I or any one of us agree with it or not. And all the best to him. But the one thing I will say is, from my side, when it comes to sowing division based on racial lines, I'm not for it. As much as a lot of us have been disrespected even by the white race over a period of time up until today. We've been called all sorts of names. We know what it is, man. But at the end of the day, I still believe that's not the way. We're here to pull together. If we're not going to work together, we're not going to get this country right. If and this is it. You can quote me on this. If we're not going to work together, if we think we're just going to discard the white race in South Africa and them not being a part of the future of this country, never mind the issues that might be had or are in the atmosphere there when it comes to terrible racial relations, we're wasting our time. We need to acknowledge, from both sides, and especially from people that are racializing everything, even politically. We need to acknowledge that these are the issues. How do we get past those issues? We don't have to like each other. It would be great if we liked each other, but we don't have to, because we all want to see the same outcome. We want a prosperous country, which means a prosperous life for all of us, which means swollen middle class, which means everyone doing well. And that's all we want. We don't have to like each other for that to happen, but we need to respect each other.
100%. And then Buyolo says, what does he think of the SA hip-hop game?
The SA hip-hop game, I think it's evolved amazing. That's my view. If you look at the time from the 90s in South Africa, we started off with some of the originators, and at that time, Prophets of the City, and there's a whole bunch of other guys that popped up at that time. Up until where it's at now, it's at an amazing space, especially if you look at the music breakdown in South Africa, where hip hop hasn't been a mainstream genre. It was shunned upon for a long time. And then there are a lot of guys that have carried it through, who may not get their dues because of them maybe not being relevant at this moment. But the hip-hop game has come a long way. It's become very competitive, not just in South Africa or in Africa, but in the world.
And who are you fucking with right now?
Right now, let's see. I've listened to the usual suspects. There's the Caspers of this world who's he's done some amazing things. He's elevated the game to another level. You've got AKA. I mean, that goes without saying. He's done very well. I like what he's done. The Nasty C's. I mean, he's doing his thing. Right now he's on fire. Yeah. And then there's this guy that popped up. There's the A. Reeses of this world. I don't know where he's disappeared to, but there's some great talent out there on the female side as well. There's been some great talent that has come up. So everyone is pushing the boundaries. It's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see where that game goes to from this point onwards. Ricky Rick, shout outs. Good dude. He's done well. I like the niche lane that he's in, and just the way hip hop is also fused with the other genres.
Yeah, I'm a piano and stuff. Yeah. It's amazing, and it's the funny thing is you'll be sitting in the middle of a lounge or a hotel lobby here in Dubai, and the next thing, the tunes come out, and it's like, okay, that's when you realize we've got a live one. We've got a live one. Yeah. Hi.
Let me introduce you. Hello. Of mine. This is the executive chairman of the DMCC, Dubai Multi-Commodity Center. Out of JLT. We're actually sitting in a building called the Almas Tower, which is, I don't want to steal his thunder, but which is the hub of the DMCC. The diamond trade, the gold trade, coffee, tea.
Wow.
Like I said earlier on when we were speaking offline, it's between 18 and 20,000 registered companies.
18,000 companies.
18,000, and has been the number one free zone for the past
6 years. We've just recently won our sixth award.
So his name is Ahmed bin Sulayem. He's a business leader here, a very good friend of mine. We're actually having a series of meetings here today. I'm actually sitting in this building.
DMCC's initiative was, I joined DMCC in 2001 when it was conceptual. We unveiled it in April 2002.
Yes.
I was the chief officer.
How old are you? You have to mention how old you are.
I turned 42 in March.
You're young, Stamus.
Oh, wait, when you started off, you were?
22.
Wow.
The reason why...
I was blessed. I joined to work only and gain work experience. One thing led to another, and this small concept of a project, which people thought wouldn't work, became a reality. So much so that DMCC Free Zone as business community contributes 10% to Dubai's GDP.
Wow.
We've had successes. I mean, on the tea side, Dubai re-exports 60% of world teas. We have our Dubai Tea Trading Center that provides blending, packaging, testing. It has a business center. We've based it in Jebel Ali South because we wanted to put it in a custom bonded free zone. And Dubai re-exports 60% of world teas. Now, looking at that and knowing that 80% of countries that produce teas also produce coffee, we couldn't ignore the coffee side. So a few years ago, we looked into the coffee business. We launched it about, I think, 2 years back. And it's growing phenomenally, so much that we've announced that we're going to expand our tea center and coffee center, tripling the size. So the coffee center provides blending, packaging, roasting facilities, a business center, training institute as well, and anything the market would like. So early on, about 19 years ago or so, the focus was Africa always, to bring the Indian trade and the African trade in Dubai and take advantage of the redistribution strength of Dubai itself. I'll give you an example. One of the Kenyan Tea Trading Authority, for some of their businesses, it makes sense for them to ship their teas from Kenya to, I guess, Yemen and other regions. But they are Dubai to focus on Eastern Europe, Kazakhstan, and these places. Now, every trader, every businessman has their own philosophy on what works and what they want to focus on. We don't interfere too much, but we advise them as best as we can.
Awesome. And do you plan on buying Man United anytime soon? Because it sounds like you have the money. And we need new owners there at Man United.
Manchester United.
Would you buy them?
I'm a big fan. I mean, Cantona won me over.
What you should be asking me is interest in the LA Lakers.
No. I don't have a budget for these things. But I'm more of a Kobe Bryant fan. So much that we managed to bring Kobe Bryant to Al Mas Tower back in 2013. He set up his company and we gave him a special digit, the number 24 on his license. And the focus was sports and media, I believe.
Yeah. And what do you think about Duduzane? Because you've been working with him for a while. What do you think about him as a person?
You know what I like about Duduzane and Kobe Bryant is their human side. They are so down to earth, so polite, and that's something I like. You know, I don't know what to expect when I meet people like them.
Yeah.
But that's the part that I really like.
Yeah,
and it's the friendship in the end of the day. I barely talk about business with him. You know, it's mostly boxing, sports, and stuff like that.
Yeah, man. I've never been to Dubai, but I'm looking forward to it. And hopefully when I come through, I'll be able to meet you as well. And we can do an interview. Yeah.
We even have the bandwidth of one of the radio stations, Dubai. I'm embarrassed now. I can't pronounce.
Virgin Radio.
No, ARN Radio. No, not Virgin. ARN. They use our tower to reach to all their listeners. So this is this is the tallest diamond tower in the world. It's the tallest commercial tower in the Middle East. It's 63 floors, fully occupied. We have about 78 towers in the free zone. We have 100,000 people working and living here. And I'm proud to say that we have representation from pretty much all over the world. You know, we source our coffees from multiple regions in Africa, from Nepal and other places, and even new regions like Angola, even Central African Republic. We talk to them about diamonds and stuff, but the Minister of Mines tells me that they used to have good coffee farms. So it's an interesting and developing story.
Yeah. All right, Duduzane, before we wrap it up, man, I was so excited because my woman told me the other day, this is how I find out things from my woman, by the way. She told me...
Before you do, sorry to interrupt my policy, but before you do that, the reason why it's important, and this is what I need to stress.
Yes.
What Mr. Bin Sulayem has done over a period of time is built up the number one free zone in Dubai. And the reason why this is important is we need to give youngsters an opportunity to shine. In this region, they've given, he's one of many, where His Excellency, the Highness, in both Emirates, Abu Dhabi and Dubai, and specifically Dubai because we live here, have given young people an opportunity to showcase their talents. At 22, he started. 20 years later, it's been the number one free zone for the past 6 years. And this is very important because we need to change the way things are done in South Africa. If we're not going to give young people an opportunity to get involved in whatever sphere, business, politics, whatever, to do what they need to do and to be given that opportunity to fail if they need to fail, then we're going nowhere. We depend on our elders, no doubt, we respect them. We learn from their experiences, but if we're not going to give youngsters a chance to do what they need to do and drive South Africa to the future that it deserves, then we might as well just wrap it up and forget about this one. So I just wanted to make that point.
Yeah, and it leads me to my next question because that's why when my woman told me that she want to run for presidency in 2024, I was so excited. I'm like, fuck, finally, someone young, can inject some young, fresh ideas into what we already have and already exists. What's the vision with that, man? Because that's exciting for me. Like, I haven't been this excited about politics in a very long time.
I think, to put it simply, the vision, and over time it'll explain itself. It'll unveil the way it needs to unveil. But as it stands, the premise behind it is there is no way that South Africa, as we sit today, in the next 10, 15 to 20 years, is going to be led commercially, politically by the elder generation. into what we expect it to be. So like I said, with all due respect to, and I mean, a lot of these people are our parents as well, but there's no way that a 60 or 70-year-old can have a 10, 15-year vision on where South Africa should be when a lot of them will not be here. Forget about politically, but just physically.
Physically, yeah.
That vision needs to be driven by a much younger generation to say, guys, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, we'll still be here. We're going to see through. We're going to see this journey through, and it starts now. So as much as we're talking, we're having fun and touching upon a whole host of different topics. It's not something that we're not in the business of talking. I'm not someone that stands on podiums and speaks. I'm an action man. That's what I do. And I've got like-minded people around me who believe in doing things and taking things forward. So the vision is simple. This country, South Africa, of course, is going to be driven by the younger generation for the next 5, 10, 15 years. We're not going to depend on people. I mean, and that is driven by a lot of the stuff we see. You take a look at Parliament, for example. One of the most unfortunate things that we see is, that the average age in our parliamentarian is what? 65, 68, somewhere.
Damn.
I stand to be corrected, but I mean, it's up there. And there's those videos and pictures that make their rounds where some of the guys are dozing off and sleeping. There's no contribution that's coming that should be coming on one end. On the other end, you've got a bunch of men and women, young, energetic, who are trying to get things moving. But the unfortunate thing is they're very antagonistic about it and very disrespectful about it. We need to respect each other. And then on the other end, there's just people sitting there just waiting for people to make mistakes, and then they jump in and they're not contributing to a discourse that's going to move us forward. So what I'm saying, and it's not me because I'm some superhero, it's what I've seen, what I've experienced, and then bringing in the business field and the limitations that we've seen, the glass ceilings that exist within the business world, the way things have been done politically. There's a very traditional way of engaging politics in South Africa.
100%, yeah.
That's changing. We hear that it's changing. People can try and say whatever they want to say. This is my guarantee, mark it down. The way politics in South Africa is going to go from this point onwards is a completely different ballgame. It needs to change. We're trying to come up with solutions and do things the way we've been doing it for the past 100, almost 110 years. No. There's new generations that have come up. We've got the energy to do so. We've got some understanding of how it needs to be done. We're not just based in South Africa. South Africa is but a cog in the wheel in the way the world works. There's an African play that we need to fit into. We need to get ourselves right, because for the longest period we've been the leader in Africa. The African geopolitics, not just economically but politically. They've looked to South Africa. Now, if we are lacking in that space, there's no future growth. If you look at just how youth politics is looked at in South Africa, it's shunned upon. You look at the ANC Youth League, just to speak about the glorious movement. They've shut the youth voice down. We need to change that. We need to get everyone involved. This is going to take everyone's involvement, and we're going to take it to the next level. I'm here. Use me.
Yeah.
I've taken shots. I'll continue to take those shots. I'm happy to take those shots. I'll be one of those people walking in the front line. Use me, however you need to use me, but we're moving forward, and that's just what it is.
And why now? Why did you decide to do this now?
It's like I said earlier on. Primarily I've been a businessman my whole life. That's the route that I've walked, and then there's certain experiences that I've experienced from as being a businessman, and I say this in all due respect to our leaders that exist out there. If you look at the political playing field across the board, there are not many, if any, political leaders that have run their own businesses, that have had to start up their own businesses. They're career politicians, right? So when it comes to setting up the rules and regulations, when it comes to the macroeconomic terms and conditions that are put into play, that Treasury, the Ministry of Finance,
yes,
Presidency, all these sorts of things, it doesn't translate to the way some of us see it. Now we're saying, well, you guys are talking about all these weird and wonderful things and how to access the information, the assistance, in whichever form. But in reality, we know that's not possible. Right? So what I'm saying is there needs to be a whole level of people that are in touch, in tune with where South Africa is now. A lot of our leaders are out of touch. That's just a fact. I can them on out of touch. They don't understand what's going on. They don't walk on the ground. Just I don't want to take up much of your time, but an interesting example is I was in South Africa a week and a half ago, and I saw a headline that said I was spotted at in KwaMashu and Umlazi and at Max and whatever else. And the headline on I think it was Times Live said that I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember it, but I was spotted at a wild party.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah.
It's like there's more important things going on in the world than me moving around. For a family, I'm not in the family I haven't seen since the beginning of lockdown. But the way it was portrayed is it's as if I was just out there having a good old time.
Yep, in these trying times.
Yeah, in these trying times. I was there. These are people that have supported us and we support their businesses. And the interesting thing, a lot of them are saying, look, we've had our lives turned around. This is all that we have to feed our families, whether it's a shisanyama, a cow, whatever it is.
Yep.
And now, interesting part is I arrived there and fortunately people were showing me the love that they show me. I mean, I'm not going to take away from that. I appreciate it. And people are taking pictures and whatever else. And during that period of time, and then why I'm highlighting the headline saying wild party. It wasn't a wild party. It was people. When I was taking pictures and meeting some of these people, they were saying things to me. And some of the things they were saying is, what's next? And I'm like, okay, what do you mean? No, we believe in you. Whatever you need, you've got our support, but what's next? They saying we've been let down, the lockdown. So there's different, as this is going on, people are whispering in my ear. These are discussions that I'm engaging in, saying, things need to change. Yeah. We can't change. We believe that you can be at least one of the people that can effect these changes. So whatever you need to do, please do it.
And those people represent majority of people in the country, yeah.
It was not a wild party. What I saw is people enjoy having a good drink in South Africa, and that's what it is. But for the most part of it, I felt people were drowning the sorrows away. It was not. Yeah. That's what it wasn't a wild party. They were happy to see each other, but they were drowning their sorrows away. They don't know what's next. A lot of them are unemployed. They've lost their jobs. There's a threat of a looming lockdown. They're like, look, if that happens, we're dead already. I don't know what to do. So those are the discussions we were having. And that was the basis of some of those engagements as we were taking pictures. Yeah. So no one was partying. There was nothing to celebrate. Yeah. It's just people trying to see what is next. And you know very well, these communal areas, it's places where businesses discuss. That's where people catch up on politics, family issues. So that's the setting of it. It's not now just a wild party popping bottles. It's not that.
100%, man. Duduzane, thank you so much for spending time with me. Just in closing, I always ask people this. What do you want to be remembered as when it's all said and done?
Simple, a game changer. We're here to change the game. Everything that I've been a part of, whether it's perceived positively or negatively, game changing, big impact. If we're not going to dream big, if we're not going to do things at a level where we should be doing, we can't expect anyone else to do it. So I walk that walk and I talk that talk. So if people say, "But what are you talking about?" No, I'm putting my neck out there. It's not an easy thing to do. It comes with the criticism, it comes with the bashing, and but I'm saying I'm willing to do that because I believe it can be done. So my parting words is big impact. If you're gonna do something, it needs to be hard hitting and it needs to be a game changer. Otherwise, why are we doing it? We need to push it to the next level.
Dude, I wish we were voting tomorrow, man, because you got my vote, bro.
No, don't worry. For voting day, I'm standing right next to you. I'll pick you up on that. But once again, I need to stress that making a difference is not just purely getting involved in politics. The reason why I'm taking that angle is because I understand if we don't shape and change things when it comes to rules, regulations, terms and conditions, some laws, we're wasting our time. The playing field, the barriers to entry, we can butt our heads against a brick wall. We're not going to get there. We just need to level the playing field. We're not asking for favors. All we're saying is, guys, these rules need to change. Then everyone is in charge. But now if a certain set of rules benefit a certain type of person, that's a problem. So we're just saying we can do that outside of politics. We have been doing that. But if we want big impact, if we want game changing, it needs to be done at the highest level, and that's where I'm coming from.
100%. I totally agree with you. Duduzane, thank you so much, man. Really appreciate this. And if you need a Minister of Finance or Groove, you know, you got my number now.
No doubt. But I'm looking forward to seeing the next time I actually will come through to your studios and check you out. I wish I was there.
Definitely, man. I would love that.
I'm looking forward. And thank you very much for your time and for this opportunity. I highly appreciate it, my brother.
And then I'll finally introduce you to Thuli Pongolo, ne?
Yeah, that's more than welcome.
Take care, my brother.
Thank you very much.
Armeni.